At the beginning of the film, we see a boy named Julio, who had recently lost his job. Actually, he used to work in a fish factory and that company was drowned due to the lockdown, and after which the owner of that company started selling raw almonds. But Julio was not at all worried about this, because a few days later he is going to marry his girlfriend Lily, and Lily's father had 3 apartments, which he wanted to give to Julio. Julio and Lily had already made plans to sell the apartments and they were going to do business with it. Often they both used to make love, and similarly one day while returning from Lily, Julio saw a car, which was on the side. Even while coming that car was there too, but Julio did not pay attention to it. But this time Julio gets off his bike and moves towards that car. There was a dead body lying in the car, and at the same time there was a bag full of jewelry and money. Julio has no idea what to do, but then he takes out all the jewelry and cash and pushes the car in a ditch below. Because of all this, he get very late, and around 11 p.m. Julio goes to rent a house near to the crime scene. The owner of that house is a lady named Mary. She asks Julio that, "What makes you come at 11 o'clock in the night to find a room for yourself?" Then Julio says that, "I had a fight with my uncle, so I left the house in anger and now I really need the room." Mary doesn't ask any more questions. She leaves by handing over the keys to Julio. His plan was to hide for a few days, so that no one would know about him. He had not murdered, but he could have trapped by the jewelry with him. Next day, he saw news of that car, and at that time Julio was having breakfast at Lily's house, but inside he was very scared. He starts planning to do business by going to Madrid with his friend. Here Lily was very angry with Julio, because he was living on rent at the French lady's house. Actually, she had just come out of jail and had a bad image in the surrounding. That's why Lily did not like staying Julio at her house at all. But Julio does not listen to Lily because of the jewelry that was hidden in Mary's house. When Julio reaches Mary's house the next day, he notices that some of his jewelry was missing, and the same jewelry was wearing by Marie. This meant that Mary knew everything. Julio asks Mary, "When did you come to know?" She replies that, "I knew that night that something was wrong, because at 11 o'clock who comes to pick up the room?" Julio says that, "I did not kill that man," on which Mary also believed that a coward like Julio cannot murder anyone. As Mary had not told anyone about Julio, so she keeps the jewelry with her, and on seeing this, a scuffle starts between Julio and Mary, which soon turns into another way. They both start making love. The next day, Julio buries all the jewels in the garden. Mary tells Julio that her one old lover lives in Madrid, he can help her to sell the jewelry. Julio likes this idea because he had no other option. The next day, both leave for Madrid. As soon as he reaches there, Julio takes Mary to room to make love, which he was now addicted to. After that, both of them go to a bar, where Mary's old lover Ricardo was waiting for her. When Ricardo learns that someone else has murdered the owner of that jewelry, he withdraws his hands, because someone else was also lying behind that jewelry, and he didn't want him to get into any mess. But Julio felt that he was saying this, so that he could buy jewelry from him at a low price. Angered by this, Ricardo leaves from there. In anger, Mary decides that she will return all Julio's jewelry. Julio was very attracted to Mary and he does not want to leave her, so he tells Mary that, "From now, I will do whatever you tell me." Then Mary tells Julio to go back to Colombia, so that she can make the deal with Ricardo. Julio did not want to go, but he had no other option. After returning, when Julio was giving a gift to Lily, by taking it out of his pocket, a ring comes out and falls. Lily's sister Stella noticed this, and it doesn't take long for him to realize that something is wrong with Julio. She thinks that Julio can never afford such an expensive ring in his life, so she immediately takes Julio to a side and starts questioning him. Then Julio turns him around by saying that he has bought it from Mary in second hand. It seemed a bit real to hear this, so Stella leaves from there. Here in Madrid, Ricardo and Mary discuss about jewelry. Ricardo says that, "Why don't you take away all the jewelry of that stupid Julio and bring it here?" Mary says, "I can't cheat Julio. These jewels are his." Ricardo says, "We have robbed many before, but what has happened to you this time?" On this, Mary does not give any answer to him because now she started liking Julio. On the other hand, Lily is sad nowadays, because Julio did not love her like before, and this was also known to Lily's sister Stella. One night, Stella starts arguing with Julio again about the ring. She says that Mary's husband was not so rich that he could get the ring. "I think Mary may have killed the jeweler and stole all his jewelry." Julio did not understand what to do with Stella. Stella says that you leave Mary's house tomorrow, otherwise I will tell the police, and then the police can probably interrogate you too. Julio had no way out, so he was saying yes to Stella. The next day, Julio is taking out all the jewels buried in the garden, and then Mary also comes back from Madrid. After asking Julio, he tells everything to Mary that Stella has doubts about him, so he is going to throw all the jewels in the river, so that there will be no confusion. Lily gets shocked by this, because she has just come from Madrid and there she closed the deal. To get rid from Stella, Mary decides to kill Stella. To which Julio also agrees. The next day, Julio visits Stella and tells her that he has found out everything about Mary. Mary had stolen the jewelry. He also says that I know where Mary has hidden the jewelry, on the side of the road where that jeweler's car fell in the sea. Stella was very happy to hear this because Julio had come to know everything about Mary. Julio says that we have to take out those ornaments, so that we can tell the police. For this, Julio asks Stella for help, to which Stella agrees, but Julio had clearly told Stella not to tell anyone about it, not even Lily. In the evening, the two meet by the sea, after which Julio takes Stella to a cave. Stella was also very excited as she felt that Julio also liked him and go inside the cave. Then as soon as Julio picks up the stone to kill Stella, she turns back, and there she learns that Julio has brought him to the cave not to show the jewels, but to murder him. She became very angry and start to fight with Julio. He push her, and she collide with a stone and killed. Seeing this, Julio gets very scared, and somehow manages to dispose of her corpse. On reaching Lily's house, he gets shocked when he learns that some people have found Stella's body on the beach, and Stella is still alive. Then all of Stella's family and Julio also reach the hospital where Stella's treatment was going on. Julio was so afraid that when Stella regained consciousness, she would tell everyone. Finally Stella regains consciousness and we come to know that Stella used to like Julio since childhood, but now she wants Julio to marry Lily, and tells Mary to hand over herself to the police, otherwise she will tell the police everything. Now Julio could not think, as he could neither tell anything to Lily nor ask Mary to go to jail. Here Mary was also trying to escape to Madrid with all the jewelry with her old lover Ricardo. But Mary also loved Julio, and her love was preventing him from doing so. When Ricardo learns that Mary's plan has gone awry, he starts beating her, because police could catch him any time, and he did not want to go to jail. Just then Julio comes there and he starts a fight with Ricardo, and during the scuffle, Ricardo escapes by stabbing Julio in the stomach. Julio starts leaving with all the ornaments, but due to excessive bleeding, he dies. Now Mary had no reason to live, that's why she also surrenders herself to the police. And with this, movie ends. I hope that you enjoy this video. If you want to make sure you never miss a new upload, be sure to subscribe to the channel Mr. Explainer, turn on notifications and click the bell icon. You'll get a notification whenever I upload a new video like this.